Now, then we've got the time before the party starts. And before we talk about this, what I'm quite keen to find out is, when do you arrive at a party? Various times over my career, I've turned up at different times. So that's what I want to talk about just briefly now. I've actually found out that it is really important that you get to a party at least half an hour before it's due to start. And when I was a new consultant, I was told to do this, and I dutifully did it. And as time went on and I became more confident, I started getting to the party with less and less time to spare. So I sort of realized that it only took me a couple of minutes to throw my display out on the table, and I could make it look fantastic every time because I was so used to doing it. So I reckon I didn't really need to be there much before that. But this actually turned out to be a mistake for me, because not only did my bookings decrease, but so did my recruiting, as I shortened the amount of time that I was there before the party started. So the time before the party starts is very important, and there's several reasons. You need time to spend with your host, and you need to be completely set up so you can welcome guests and focus on them completely as they arrive. So spending time with the host allows you to ask if there's anyone coming who thinks they might book. It lets you relationship build with her so she feels more comfortable. So when she's comfortable with you, she's going to be happy to help you out with anyone who's maybe not sure. So if you've got someone at the party who's really not sure about whether she wants to have one or not, all you need is the host to say, look, if you have one, I'll come. And it quite often changes their mind and makes them think, oh, well, maybe I will get some people there. Because often the reason they're thinking that they're not sure is they're not sure if they can get people there. So you can actually talk to the host about that, about it. Look, if there's anyone sitting on the fence, if you just want to give them a nudge by saying, look, if you have one, I'll come, that'll help. So remind her at that time as well that bookings for her are going to give her more gifts. Now, the other thing about relationship building is that when you build good relationships with her, further down the track, she could well join as a consultant. Hosts make the best consultants, and it's really important that you build a good relationship with her. I guess as well as that, if she's comfortable with you and you have you get on well together, it's going to rub off on the guests. And I've often found that whatever the host feels about me, the guests feel about me as well. So if I haven't taken the time to build a relationship, normally things are a little bit more formal and not quite as friendly. Now, before the party starts is also a great time to remind her about supper. And as we discussed last week, supper is one of the things that can damage our party results. Now, everything could have been going really well. You've done a fantastic presentation and people are just about to order, and then she jumps up and jumps into the middle and asks everybody who wants tea and who wants coffee. And suddenly no one's thinking about your products anymore, because they're all thinking about whether they want tea or coffee and whether they want a piece of cake. It's actually really difficult to get their attention back from this, and quite a lot of the people will not get back to ordering or booking. So make sure that you use this time before the guests arrive to say to your host that it would be great if you could have 10 minutes or so after your presentation to help people with their orders and answer questions. And just mention to her that if she could hold off with supper until that's done, it would be really helpful. If you need to, or want to, you could say that what you found is that if supper comes out too early, people take a long time to finish ordering and booking, and it makes the night a lot later for everybody. So I normally used to say something like it's a really good idea just to see to the business side of things first, and then everyone can totally relax and focus on socializing. And I've found that quite often the hosts get a bit nervous. They don't know when they should bring the supper out because we've said to them we need some time afterwards, and then they're wondering, when should I do it then? And one thing that helps is to say to her that, look, why don't I just give you a nod when it's time to go and put the kettle on? And then she knows that she doesn't have to think about it anymore, and you get to control it. I can't emphasize enough how important supper is, unless, of course, you're selling a product that revolves around food, in which case you're probably bringing the supper or providing the supper yourself, and you're in control of it anyway. Now, once guests start to arrive, you need to be completely set up, calm, relaxed, and friendly. You need to chat to people, but make sure you don't impose yourself on people that don't want to chat, because sometimes people just don't want to. So you need to be aware that as people walk in the door, they're having a look at you, they're deciding what they think about you, and what they see is a salesperson. So you're just someone who is here to sell them something. So your very first job is to become a human being in their eyes rather than a salesperson. And you can't do this if you've only got a couple of minutes since you've just set up. It takes a bit of effort. So it's important that while you're chatting to people and greeting people, that you don't talk about your business or your products. It's only about connecting with people. So I used to play a little game which helped me. It was a private game and nobody knew I was playing it, but it worked really well, and it got me happily doing small talk and chatting to people. So what I would do is I would see if I could find anybody in the room who knew someone that I know. And if I could do this, it was actually quite magical what happened. The transformation of the atmosphere in the room was amazing. As soon as someone in the room had a connection with me or with somebody that I know, everything changed. And what was really interesting was that it didn't even have to be a strong connection. So, like, for example, this is a loose connection. If I asked somebody about their children and it turned out that their children play a sport that my children play, and maybe a few weeks ago they played in the same park or had the same referee that we could talk about, that would be enough. So it wasn't a strong connection at all. But suddenly I was no longer just a salesperson. I was a real person, and the atmosphere in the room would be different. And I would make that connection with one person, but the atmosphere for everybody would change. So this is really important when we're going to be trying to sell them things, but we're also going to be wanting bookings and recruits, because people will only book you if they like you. They're not going to invite you to their home and inflict you on their friends if they don't feel really comfortable with you. So this is really important. So just try playing that little game and see how it works out. Just that one simple thing actually can increase your results from the party.